You know, it's been a long time since I've actually been an avid Harry Potter fan, reader, viewer, whatever. But I remember at one point, in order to cast a spell, you had to say the spell. Remember that? Fantastic Beasts: Crimes of Yawn. So Fantastic Beasts is the second in a 5-film franchise from Warner that doesn't make any sense because it's based on one book. But in this movie, there's a couple of beasts, not enough for the movie to be called Fantastic Beasts. But now everybody's going after Johnny Depp because he's Grindelwald, and Grindelwald's the villain, so of course he's going to do bad things. And you know why? Because he's bad. So if this movie's going to be called Crimes of Grindelwald, you'd expect the Crimes of Grindelwald to be, you know, a thing that matters. Grindelwald's barely in this movie, and his crime is he's going after Credence something. I didn't see the first movie, I'm not going to hold it against this, but Ezra Miller's character holds the key to a thing that Grindelwald wants. But that's not the only quest, because Newt wants to go and do this thing. Credence wants to go and do that thing. Dumbledore wants to go and do this thing. Every character has their own quest, and it's like, with all this stuff going on, you would think that, you know, things would be happening, but nothing happens in this movie. That's right, ladies and gents, this movie is boring. Oh, is it boring. All I want out of a movie is to not be bored, but this movie is so boring, and there's so many things that happen in it that are just like, oh, we're in peril, and then 11 seconds later, it's like, oh, we're good, never mind, let's keep going. But with a pace like that, how can nothing be happening ever? There's too many characters in the movie, and with each character bring their own character drama, and with all this character drama going on, there's hardly any time for the narrative plot. There's also, this movie relies on Harry Potter references. Like, the entire movie, I'm sitting there, and I'm like, oh, that's from Harry Potter. Okay, what's this movie about? Also, just about every piece of dialogue in this movie is some sort of exposition. It's like, here's what's happening, here's why it's happening, here's where we are, here's what happened years ago, here's how this happened, and it's like, show, don't tell. This movie also knows that it actually has no reason to exist. It's like, hey, weren't you obliviated in the last movie? And it's like, didn't work, even though, what? Also, Nagini's a human woman. I mean, I know there were theories about it, like maybe she used to be human before she became a serpent. Well, now we know. Cool. And for a large portion of the movie, conversations are shot really up close, like it's one of my old videos. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, it's shot like this close up, and I'm like, why are you so close to the camera? Mate, can you back up a bit? That would be lovely. And the CGI in this movie, of which there is a lot, is awful. Like, it looks like a DC movie, which is funny because it's Warner. But no, all the CGI is awful, even the green screen, of which there's also a lot. Like, even in the parts where they're in London or Paris, I'm like, you couldn't go to London or Paris. London is where most of this cast is from. It also felt like nobody in this movie except for Johnny Depp could act, which I don't even think Johnny Depp can act, so that's really saying something, which is a shame because I know Jude Law is a talented actor. But everybody gave their lines and performed with such a wooden nature. It's like, were you bribed to be here? What do they have on you? And when I said it was boring, take that, add to it terrible CGI. When magic battles and stuff start happening later on in the movie, I'm just like, what's happening and why does it look like a PS2 game? And I'm starting to think Ezra Miller really can't act, because I've only seen him in this movie and as the Flash, but he's awful. And if he can act, let me know in the comments. Tell me I'm being too harsh on him, but what a terrible show that was. And this movie feels like such a part 2. Like, everything that's happening in it is like, oh, of course we're not going to make any progress because there's 5 movies. Like, it doesn't even move along like episode 2 because at least in episode 2, important things happen. There's at least an attack of the clones. There's no crimes of Grindelwald in this movie. And about Grindelwald, they tried to make him this really cool, like, Magneto-type villain. Like, magic should clearly be on top. Wizards should rule the world. But this is not interesting. He also commits the cardinal sin of being a villain that makes me think he's terrible. And I'll talk about that if you want me to do a spoiler video on this piece of garbage. But that reminds me, since this movie's a piece of garbage, I think that's where it belongs. Turns out, somewhat pretty light shows and saying a spell from a book isn't enough to save your movie. Who would have thought? But Fantastic Beast, Crimes of Blah. Have you seen it? What do you think about it? Comment below and educate me. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you want me to dump on more movies, well, trust me, I probably have. But also, share this video around with your